In this video, we'll build a landing page for a virtual reality software company using React and Tailwind CSS. We'll also deploy the website using the Vercel cloud platform. The website will be fully responsive. So let's walk through all the sections we'll be building in this video. The website has a sticky navbar that has a beautiful blur backdrop and is also responsive with drawer. After navbar, we have hero section with heading which has gradient text. In this video, we'll also look at how to display and autoplay the videos. Next is the feature section that lists all the features of the product. We have workflow section with images and checklist items. The price section has 3 cards for free, pro, and enterprise plans. Next, we have a beautiful testimonial section followed by the footer. So let's get started. We'll start by creating a new folder on desktop. I'll name it Vercel. Let's open Visual Studio Code and drag this folder into it. Open a new terminal in VS Code and let's head over to the Tailwind CSS website and click on the Get Started button. In quick search box, type Vite and click on the Install Tailwind with Vite link. We'll copy the command to install React application and paste it into the terminal. Change the My Project to the current folder and hit enter. This will create the necessary files and folders. Let's run the npm install command. Once this is done, install Tailwind. Copy the init command to generate Tailwind and post CSS config files. We'll copy the template path and head over to tailwind.config.js file and replace it with the copied code. Next, let's add the Tailwind directives in the index.css file. I'll remove the entire code here and paste the directives. Additionally, let's delete the app.css file since we won't be needing it. To check if everything is working fine, I'll copy the HTML code with Tailwind classes and head over to the app.jsx file. Let's delete all the default code in the app.jsx and rewrite it. I'm using the ES7 React snippet extension. If you don't have it installed, you can search for the ES7 React snippet and install it. Let's paste the code here. I'll save the file and run the server by typing npm run dev. We can see that our changes are applied, which confirms that we have configured the Tailwind CSS with our React app. All the assets that you see on the page can be downloaded from the GitHub link provided in the description. Once you download the code, copy and replace the assets folder in your project source folder. For icons, we'll be using Lucid React. So let's install this package. Also, to make things easy, I've created a constants folder where I've declared variables to store the text content that you see on the page. If you open the index.jsx file under the constants folder, you will see variables like, for example, Navbar items, testimonials, and so on. This will help us avoid typing all the text that you see on this page. So let's also copy this folder in the source directory. We'll be using the Poppins font for this project, so let's import it. Since this project has a dark background, let's also specify the color scheme as dark. With this change, you can see that the background color now shifts to a nice dark shade. So the first thing we are going to work on is the navbar. Navbar will be a component and I want to place all my components under a folder in the source directory. Let's create this folder with the name components. Within this folder, I'll create a new file called navbar.jsx. I'll use the RAFC snippet to create the function. Okay, so let's import this file in our app.jsx file. Let's look at the navbar that we are going to build. We can see that the navbar is positioned as sticky element at the top with some padding and a blurred background. Also, we can see it has a border bottom. It has 3 sections, a logo, a few links in the middle, and a couple of buttons in the end. We can make use of the flex and apply space between to get this layout. Alright, let's head back to the code editor and write some JSX code. I'll declare a nav tag, which is sticky, top 0, z index of 50, padding at the y-axis, also backdrop blur, and a border bottom with color, neutral 700 by 80. Inside this, let's create a div with container, padding at the x-axis, margin auto, relative, and the font size small. Inside this, we'll have a div with flex, justify center, and item center. For logo, I'll have a class flex, item center, and flex shrink 0. Now, if you look at the navbar, we have a logo and a text besides it. Using the image tag, let's display the logo. The source will be a variable logo that we'll get from the assets folder. So let's import it. Once you do this, the logo should appear on the page. I want the logo to have a height and width of 10. Also, let's add margin right. I'm using span to display the text, which will be of size XL, and will also reduce the letter spacing. Okay, so both are now appearing on the page. Next, we'll work on the links in the middle section. For this, I'll make use of the unordered list to display the links. It should be hidden by default and only visible on the large screens. We'll add margin left of 14, space on the x-axis as 12. Let's get the nav items from the constants folder where we have declared them in a variable. So let's first import nav items from the constants folder. Now, I'll loop through the items using the map method. Let's declare an anchor tag with href item.href and display the name using item.label. Let's also specify the key to have the value of index. So the items are now visible, but there is a problem. It looks like there is an issue in styling. Maybe I've missed something here. Let's check the index.css file. Oh, looks like I've missed a semicolon here. Let's add it and save the file. Okay, so our links are now styled as expected. Let's move on and check what else we need to add. We have two buttons, sign in and create an account. The create an account button also has some gradient color specified to it. I'll have a div which is again hidden and only visible on the large screens. Justify center, some space, and item center. Next, I'll have an anchor tag for sign in with padding on X and Y axis, border, and rounded corners. Okay, so the sign in button is now visible. Let's work on the next link. Again, I'll have an anchor tag with class background gradient to right. From orange 500 to orange 800. Some padding on the X and Y axis. And finally, the rounded corner. Let's type the text. Alright, we can now see the second button. But it looks like the spacing is a bit off. Where did I go wrong? Yes, this should be justified between not center. Okay, with this we can see the navbar aligned properly. Next thing I want to work on is to make this navbar responsive. So if you see the final version, we have a mobile drawer that has icons that change when you click on it. So to implement this, we need to first import the icons from Lucid React. I have two icons, menu and X. To make this dynamic, we'll make use of the useState. So let's also import the useState. Next, let's declare a variable mobile drawer open and we'll assign it a default value of false, which will indicate that it is closed in the beginning. We'll also need a function to toggle mobile drawer. So let's declare a function toggle navbar that will simply toggle the value of mobile drawer open variable. With this, let's scroll to the bottom and add this button wrapped in a div with class LG hidden, MD flex, flex column, and justify end. Next, let's add the button which will call the toggle navbar function on click. If the mobile drawer open is true, it should show the X icon, or else it should display the menu bars. Let's test it. Awesome. It's working as expected. Now if you see the final version, the mobile drawer contains all the links that are available on the desktop version. For this, let's check if mobile drawer open is true, so that we can display the links. I have a div with class fixed, right 0, z index of 20, background color of neutral 900, width full, some padding, flex column, justify center, item center, and hidden on large devices. Let's create an unordered list and loop through the nav items. I'll have an anchor tag just like the desktop version. Let's not forget the key. Okay, so the links are now showing up. Let's add some padding so that it matches the final version. Also, we need to include two buttons for sign in and create account. For this, I'll include two anchor tags with a div with class flex and some spacing. First anchor tag with some padding, border, and rounded corners. Okay, so we have the sign in option visible. Next will be the create account link. Once again, an anchor tag, some padding, rounded corner, and background gradient to right. From orange 500 to orange 800. With this, we have our responsive navbar ready. So the next thing that we will build is the hero section. As you can notice, the hero section has a header text, a paragraph with some text about the platform, a couple of buttons, and two videos that are in autoplay. We'll start by creating a new file called the herosection.jsx. The hero section text is visible but is cornered. I want all the content below the navbar to be within the specified width with margin left and right auto, some padding at the top and on the x-axis. Let's copy the hero section component and paste it within this div. Okay, so this looks better. Let's head over to the hero section and include the two videos that we are going to use. Both these videos are available in the assets folder that we copied earlier. Let's delete the default text and check the final version to see what needs to be coded first. Okay, so we have the header text which says Vercel are build tools for developers. I want the hero section to be displayed in the flex column. Item center, margin top of 6, and in large devices, margin top of 20. Inside this, I'll have my h1 header tag with text 4xl, small device text 6xl, large devices text 7xl, text center, and letter spacing wide. Let's type the text within this Vercel build tools for developers. The text looks almost identical, except for the last two words which are gradient text. So I'll separate the last two words. Add a span. With class background gradient from orange 500 to red 800. Text transparent. And finally, background clip text. Okay, so a space is missing. So let's add it. This now looks identical to the final version. Alright, we'll move and add the paragraph next. I'll simply copy the text to avoid typing everything. Paragraph is now visible but needs some styling. I'll add margin top, font size large, text center, text color neutral 500, and a max width of 4 pixels. This is looking good. Let's add a div with class flex, justify center, and some margin on y-axis. Inside this, I'll have an anchor tag with class background gradient to right, from orange 500 to orange 800. Some padding, margin on the right and left, and rounded corners. Text will be start for free. Save it. Okay, so the link is showing up. I'll also add the second link which says documentation. Some padding, margin on the x-axis, rounded corners, and border. Text which says documentation. Okay, so we are almost done with the hero section. Last task will be to add the videos. I want the videos to be on autoplay, a loop, and should be muted. Let's declare a div with class flex, margin top 10, and justify center. Inside this, we'll have the video tags with autoplay, loop, and muted. The video will have rounded corners, width half, border color of orange 700, shadow of orange color, and some margin on all sides. Let's specify the source as video 1 and type video mp4. If the browser does not support the video tags, we'll show a text message. Let's copy the video tag and paste it since we have two videos. Let's change the source name to video 2 and save it. As expected, both the videos are now showing up. Let's move on to the feature section. In the feature section, we have a feature text, a heading tag, and list of features with descriptions. Notice, we are also using some icons here. All these icons from the Lucid React are imported in the constants index.jsx file. Let's go ahead and create a file named featuresection.jsx. and import it in the app.jsx. I'll add a div with class relative, margin top, border bottom of color neutral 800 and minimum height of 800 pixel. Inside this, I'll have the feature text that you see on the top with text center, a span with class background neutral 900, text orange 500, round it full, some height, font size small, font weight medium, some padding, and the text should be in uppercase. Okay, so we have the feature tag ready. Let's move to the heading text. I'll have H2 which says easily build your code. Let's add some styling to this. I'll have the default text size as 3XL. On small screens 5XL, large screen 6XL, margin top of 10, margin of 20 on large screens, and some letter spacing. Okay, so this looks good, but it does not have the gradient text in the end. So let's wrap this text in a span. With background gradient to right, from orange 500 to orange 800, text transparent, and background clip text. This is almost done except for the space, so let's add it. Alright, so we have the heading text ready. Next will be the list of features which have icons, heading, and some description. For this I'll have a div with class flex. Flex wrap, margin top 10, and margin top of 50 on large screens. Let's also import the feature variable from the constants folder. I'll loop through the features using map. Let's have a div with key. Class full width. On small devices, I want only 2 features to show up in a row. And on large devices, I want 3 features in a row. If I reduce the screen size of the final version page, you can only see 2 features in a row, and on large, 3 features in a row. Okay, so let's have a div with class flex. Inside this, another class with flex, margin on x-axis, height of 10, width of 10, padding, background neutral 900, text orange 700, justify center, item center, and rounded corners. Within this, let's add the feature icon. Okay, so all the features icon are now appearing. Next, let's add the heading text. With class margin top of 1. margin bottom of 6, and text Excel. We'll get the text from the feature.text. Let's add the description using the paragraph tag. Description is available in feature.description. So the description is appearing but does not match the final version. For this to match, I'll add class text MD. Padding, margin bottom of 20, and text color neutral 500. Okay, so our texts are styled and looking good. It looks like orange color is not applied to the icons. Yeah, I've misspelled orange. Let's change that. Now the icons have a nice orange color. Let's also test the mobile layout. Both hero section and feature sections are good on the mobile layout. Fine, let's move to the next section, which is the workflow section. This is a relatively simple section. We have a heading text, an image on the left, and a few check icons on the right with some text. Let's create a new file under Components folder and name it workflow.jsx. Save this file and include it in the app.jsx file. Okay, so the workflow text is visible on the page. Let's first include the check circle icon from Lucid React. Also, we'll import the image from the assets folder. Let's add a div with class margin top of 20. Inside this, I'll have the header tag h2. I'll simply copy the text and paste it here. Let's add the class text 3XL. On small screen size 5XL. Large screen size 6XL. Text center. Margin top of 6. And some letter spacing. Okay, that's weird. We have a blank screen. Let's check the console. Looks like I have misspelled the icon name, so let's quickly make the changes. And we are back. Let's also add some gradient to our heading text. I'll have span with class background gradient to right. From orange 500 to orange 800. Text transparent and background clip text. Let's not forget the space. Okay, so our heading now matches the final version. Let's move on. I have a div with class flex, flex wrap, justify center, another div inside it with padding, full width by default, and half width on large screens. Inside this, I'll have the image with source code image. Okay, so the image is showing up. Let's add another div with class padding top of 12, full width by default, and half width on large screens. So let's head over to the constants index.jsx file, which has the checklist items. Every checklist item has a title and description. So let's use the checklist items and loop through every checklist item. Let's add a div with key, class flex, and margin bottom of 12. Inside this, a div with class text green 400, some margin, background color of neutral 900, height and width of 10, padding, justify center, item center, and rounded full. Let's use the check circle icon here. All the check icons are now visible and have a nice green color to it. Next, let's add a heading text. With class margin top of 1, margin bottom of 2, and text size XL. Heading is available in item.title. Next, a paragraph which will be item.description with class text MD and text color neutral 500. With this, we have our workflow section ready. Let's also check the mobile version. Everything looks good on the mobile view. That's awesome. Next will be the pricing section. In this section, we have 3 pricing cards. One is a free plan, second is a pro plan, which costs $10, and enterprise card, which is $200. Every plan has some features and subscribe button. So let's code this section. Let's create a new file, price.jsx. Save this file and include it in the app.jsx file. Okay, so the pricing component is showing up. I'll first import the check icon that will be used to show the plan features. Now, let's look at the structure of pricing option variable. It has a title, price, and array containing the options available in the plan. So let's include it here. Let's add a div with class margin top 20. Inside this we'll have h2 tag. With class text 3xl, on small screen text 5xl, 6xl on large screen, text center, sum margin, and letter spacing wide. Next, let's add a div with class flex and flex wrap. Let's loop through the pricing options. Add a div with key. Class full width by default. Half width on small screen. On large screen, width 1 by 3. And padding. Inside this we'll have a div with padding, border color neutral 700, and rounded excel. Inside this is a paragraph which will display the title. Okay, all the plan titles are showing up. Let's style this to have font size 4XL. And margin bottom 8. This is looking good. Pro plan is the most popular plan, so let's add this condition. The text should only show up if it is a Pro plan. Let's add the text most popular. Also, I'll add gradient to this text. Background gradient to right. From orange 500 to red 400. Text transparent. Background clip text. Font size XL and some margin. Fine. So the most popular text is only showing up on Pro plan. We'll have a paragraph with margin bottom 8, span with price text, and a per month text. Let's style these texts. I'll add class of font size 5XL, margin top 6, and margin right of 2. Now let's add styling to month text. Class text neutral 400, and letter spacing tight. So the pricing text is looking fine. Now we'll add an unordered list and loop through the features. We'll have a list tag with key. Inside this will be the check icon. So the check icons are showing up. Let's add some spacing with class margin top 8, flex, item center. I'll have span which will display the text with class margin left 2. The icon and text are not aligned as expected. I have misspelled flex. Okay, the content is looking good. Next will be the subscribe button. I'll have an anchor tag subscribe. Let's add class inline flex, justify center, item center, text center, width full, height 12, padding, margin top 20, letter spacing tight, text Excel, on hover, background color of orange 900, border with border color orange 900, rounded corner, transition with duration 200. Let's also check the mobile version to see if everything is aligned properly. Everything looks good, and with this, the pricing section is ready. Next will be the testimonials section. It has 6 testimonials from the users. On the large screen, we can see 3 testimonials in a row. And on the smaller screen, only 1 testimonial is present per row. So let's code this section by first creating a file and naming it testimonials.jsx. Let's save this file and include it in the app.jsx. We can see the testimonials text appearing on the page. In the constants index.jsx file, I have a variable testimonials which will have username, company name, image and text. The images can be found in the profile pictures folder. Let's first import testimonials from the constants folder. Let's create a div with class margin top 10 and letter spacing white. Inside this, we'll have a h2 header tag which says what people are seeing. Let's add some styling to this. Text will be 3XL by default. On small screen 5XL. Large screen 6XL. Text center. Some margin. And margin 20 on the large screen. Okay, so this is looking good. Next, we'll add a div with class flex. Flex wrap and justify center. Inside this, we'll look through the testimonials. Add a div with key index. Full width with 1:2 on small screen, with 1:3 on large devices, and some padding. Inside this, we'll have another div with class background neutral, rounded corners, padding, text MD, border with border color neutral 800, and font thin. Next, we'll have a paragraph with testimonial text. Okay, so the feedback is showing up. Next, let's add the user image, name, and company name. For this, I'll add a div with class flex, margin top 8, item center. In this, I'll have the image tag. Let's check the key for image in the constants index file. So this will be testimonial.image. Okay, so the image is showing up, but we haven't styled it yet. I'll add width and height of 12. Margin right of 6. Rounded corners. Border. Border color neutral 300. Okay, so the image is looking like the way it is displayed in the final version. I'll also add the name, which will be an H6 header tag. Okay, so the name is appearing on the screen. Next, I'll have a span that will display the company name. Company is appearing, but I'll need to style it. I'll add class text small, font weight normal, italic, and text color neutral 600. This is looking nice. Let me just quickly check the mobile version. Okay, so everything is looking good. And with this, we have the testimonial section ready. The last section in this video will be the footer section. I have few links in footer categorized into resources, platform, and community. All the link names are available in the constants index.jsx file. First, we have the resource links. Next is the platforms. And the last is the community links. Let's create a new file under components folder and call it footer. Save the file and include it in the app.jsx file. With this, you should be able to see the footer text. Let's first import all the links from the constants index file. I'll make use of the footer tag. If you see, we have the border top on the footer, so let's add it. Let's add class empty20, border top, padding, and border color neutral 700. Inside this will be a div with class grid, grid columns 2 by default, on the last screen I want 3 columns. And gap 4. Inside this I'll have a div with h3 header tag resources. Let's style this header with class textMD, font semi-bold, margin bottom 4. Next, we'll display all the links in an unordered list by looping through resource links. I'll declare li with key. Inside this will be an anchor tag. Let's look at the key names. So this will be link.href. And link.text. So all the links under resources are visible, but we need to style them. We'll add some space in the UL tag. And for anchor tag, let's add class text color, neutral 300. Also, on the hover, I want the color of link to change to white, so let's add that. After this, let's work on platform links. For this, I'll simply copy the div inside the grid and paste it below. Let's make changes to the text. This will be platform. And I'll change this to platform links. So we can see the updated links under platform. Last will be the community link. So once again, let's copy and paste the div. I'll change the name to community. And this will be community links. With this, all the links are now visible in the footer. Let's also check the mobile view. This also looks good on mobile view. Alright, so with this, we have successfully completed our React landing page using the Tailwind, which is also fully responsive. So the next step will be to deploy this project on the web. For deployment, we'll be making use of the Vercel, which is the popular choice when deploying React and Next.js applications. And if you check the pricing, Vercel has a free plan which allows you to deploy applications like the one we have built. So if you don't have an account, you can sign up for the free plan or the other option that suits your need. Before deploying the code on Vercel, we need to create a GitHub repository and push our code. So let's create a new repository on the GitHub. I'll name the repository as Vercel. You can add some description here and click on the Create Repository button. Okay, so let's commit our code and push the code on GitHub. Go to the terminal and type git init to initialize the Git repository. add all the changes, and commit the code. Let's paste the git remote add origin command in the terminal and hit enter. I'll also copy the git branch main command. Now let's push our code to the origin. So with this, our code is now available on GitHub and we can use Vercel to deploy this code. Now on the Vercel website, click on the Add New Project link. This will list all your Git repositories. I want to deploy the latest repository Vercel, so I'll click the Import button besides it. I'll keep all the default options here and press the Deploy button. This will take some time to deploy the project. Once done, you'll see the congratulations message, which means your project is deployed successfully on Vercel. If you click the image below, it will take you to the website. As you can see, our React app is now available on virtualar.vercel.app. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon for more exciting videos. Take care.